Welcome everyone, this is the channel Drew, and I am Drew. Today we're going to be talking about something very cool that happened to me recently. So I haven't shared this with you guys yet, but I actually won a new boat. And there's a bit of a story to it, so we'll go over the story real quick, and then we'll talk about the boat itself, and that'll be it, alright? So the story starts way back in June. It was one of the first trips of the year I was doing commercially, and water was super low. And everything was just like a normal trip, and we got to the rapid. We went down, it's a really technical one, and with the low water, I bumped a rock, which then bumped me into a rock that you really don't want to be bumped into. It wasn't a big deal, we just hyside and got off, but the oar came out and it sunk down and we weren't able to find it. Now, not a huge deal as a company oar, we use the cheapest ones because we often break or lose oars because it's a really rocky technical river, it happens, no big deal. Fast forward, it's the next day and we're out on the flat part of the river and we see an orange something and we're pretty sure it's an oar and we start messing with it and we're able to almost get it up, and then I was like, you know what, screw it, and I just jumped in and I swam down and grabbed it. And this oar turned out to be a really nice cataract oar with a weighted handle, which is why it was so hard to get up, and a really nice Sawyer shoal cut blade. And those are like the best blades. So we could tell the oar had been there probably at least a year. It was really beat up and really worn down. And I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or fix it or sell it. But the blade was really nice and in good shape. So I was like, you know what, I'll just keep the blade, buy another blade, and then I can have two really nice shoal cuts for the price of one. So that's what I did. But as you guys probably know, there's been a bit of a supply chain issues, and it's been really hard to find some gear, and shoal cuts were really hard to find. And I looked everywhere, couldn't find it, and then I stumbled across CGR, Cascade River Gear, and they actually had it in stock. So I was like, you know what, it's in stock now, I'm going to bite the bullet and do it. So I bought the oar from Cascade, and when I was checking out, they said, would you like to add a $10 raffle ticket to your cart? And I was like, nah. But it said it was to win a Maravia raft, and it also said it benefits Idaho Rivers United, which is a really good cause. So I was like, you know what, it's $10, fuck it, good cause, maybe I'll win a boat. So the new blade came, and I used it all summer, and it was great. And I was doing commercial trips, and then I was using it just for fun on my buddy's boat, and then sure enough, it's the end of September, and I forgot completely about this competition. Now, I was between commercial trips, and I was driving in my car, and I got a call from Moscow, Idaho. And I thought maybe it was NRS, because sometimes we get calls from them with orders with the company. So I was like, I better pick up. So I picked up, and as I picked up, I was thinking, like, wait, this couldn't be from a contest, could it? No way. But it was. The guy answered, and he said he was from Idaho Rivers United and that he had some good news for me. And I was kind of just shocked, but I was thinking, like, was there a second prize or a third prize? I was like, no way I won, no way. And he said that I wanted to Moravia boat. So I gave him my address. I had to pay for shipping, which was not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than buying a new boat. And sure enough, within like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, the boat came. Now, the only unfortunate thing for me was the timing. It came like midway through October, and up here in the mountains, midway through October is already starting to get to be winter. So I was only able to take it out 2 times. I took it out once on an awesome trip in Utah with my girlfriend for the weekend, and then I did another local one fishing where it was pretty cold, but we caught a fish and we got to see the new boat. So let's talk about the boat. The Scout's 13 feet long and it's about 6 feet wide. Now, that's a really good size, and if I was getting something just on my own, I probably would have got something similar. Now, it also has diminished tubes, which is a really nice feature that gives you more room inside and still gives you really good flotation. It's got a drop stitch floor, which is like a paddleboard, so it's really hard, which makes it really easy to stand on. And it's a really nice thing that I've actually never been in a boat with one before, and I'm really glad to have one. It came with 3 thwarts, which is nice, Maravia actually charges extra for the thwarts, like a lot extra, which is a bit of a bummer, but whatever. I didn't pay for them anyway. So it came with all three, which was good. And then by far the most striking thing about this boat is the paint job. And I have never seen a boat where half is one color and half is another color, which is pretty cool, and it fades into it smoothly. Now, it's not the paint job I would have chose personally, as it says stay splashy and splashy dreams, but beggars can't be choosy, right? So the way they achieve this is Maravia uses a urethane coating over their boat. So they make the boat just like a normal raft, and then they actually spray and cover the whole thing with the pigmented urethane for extra durability, and it looks really good. So for my setup, I put a chicken line all the way around, and I went for a really lime green. I actually didn't want it to be that green, and I was thinking maybe do like half dark, half light. Maybe I'll do that next time, but anyway, it's got a chicken line. And then for rowing, I was lucky enough to find a really old frame, and I was able to chop down the middle pieces so it fit into the 13-footer. It used to be on like a 16-footer. And for oars, I used the one I found. I actually fixed it up. Then I purchased a new one, and then both those shoal cut blades from earlier. And then for the spare, I actually had an extra 10-foot laying around, but I wanted 9-foot for this, so I ripped the handle out, which was a lot easier said than done. And then I chopped a foot off, and then I glued the handle back in, and now I got a spare. Now, as I mentioned, I do run that one bay frame right now. It's made to be packable. Because the thwarts are small, they're pretty low, and it's not super comfortable to just sit on one in the front. So I think eventually I'll move to a 3-bay and have a cooler or a dry box with the foam pad up there, and that should make it a lot more comfortable. I don't know when that'll be, but that's kind of the vision I have in my head for it. As a paddle raft, it fits up to 7, 3 on each side, and then someone in the back steering. And I think you could get away with running 3, but I think 4 is kind of the ideal minimum on it. And I haven't tried paddling with it yet, but I bet it'll be pretty fun. It's really interesting if you haven't been in a drop stitch floor boat, because it adds a lot of stiffness. It doesn't really like flex as much with the waves, which is good for responsiveness, and you can turn really quickly and go a little faster, but I don't think it's quite as nice a ride. So maybe I'll soften that up for more whitewater rides where you're not worrying about standing. I don't know, it's interesting. I've never used a drop stitch before. Everyone claims Maravia's row incredibly well, and from what I can tell, it does. I think that's mostly just due to the drop stitch holding it up, and then you can be really responsive. I also think what's more important is your oar setup, and the oars I have are really nice, and that shoal cut blade really, really makes a difference. So far, can't complain on that front. But I can complain on like 3 other fronts, and these are pretty minor complaints, but I think it's necessary just to sort of air my grievances. The first thing is the thwarts. I really hate that if you're buying a Maravia, you have to pay separately for all the thwarts. Now I get it, but they're really expensive, and it makes, if you're just trying to buy a paddle raft, it makes it a lot more expensive. Now companies like RMR include their thwarts, and I just feel like that's a lot more consumer-friendly business practice. Maravias are already really expensive, and possibly the most expensive. I think them and Sotar are pretty much the top 2 priciest. Continuing with the thwarts have this knuckle design, and it's what they use on hysides. And the boat has one, and the thwart has one, and they meet, and then you put like a bolt through it, and it's really kind of a pain to undo. And then the knuckle sticks out awkwardly, and kind of, it's not sharp or like too hard, but it's not comfortable. And I think it's just kind of not a great design. Now, RMR has a removable thwart that is fabric and then a thin piece of plastic, and that seems to work just as well, if not better, and it's so much like more streamlined and smooth and easier to operate, so I really prefer that, and I wish Maravia would update that, but anyway. And another gripe I have, and this is probably my main gripe, is the valves. And they look like just your normal Lee-Field raft valve, and they pretty much are, but they're C7s. And if you are kind of into the technical aspect of things, you'll know that C7 is 1 generation older than the current generation. And it's not like the current generation's brand new. It's been out for almost 10 years. And it's the D7. And the D7 is almost exactly the same, but it's got a little higher flow rates both ways, inflating and deflating. But there is a D7 valve made with more high pressure floors in mind, like the drop stitch. And I really wish they would have included one of those because I think it's better for that high pressure drop stitch floor. Also, it's just a little weird when you're getting a really premium product and the components are not top of the line. My RMR boat has D7s and it's like 3 years older and thousands of dollars cheaper. It would be weird if you bought a new Mercedes and some of the included components were like 2 generations old. But anyway, not a huge thing, but I just think it's a bad look for Moravia. Like I said, beggars can't be choosy, and I'm overjoyed I have this boat. So you always wonder, like, does anyone actually win these competitions? But apparently they do. And now I know I'm going to enter every sweepstakes I can because I guess someone's got to win. And just another note, while I was on the Utah trip, 2 separate people actually recognized the boat from the giveaway and asked me if it was from the giveaway. So that was kind of fun. And they seem to be using it on a lot of marketing for Cascade River gear, which is also fun. And that brings us to the end. I just wanted to share the story of the new boat because it's kind of cool. If you guys want to hear more about it, let me know. I also have another bigger, like overnight style RMR boat. And if you guys want to hear about that, maybe I'll do a video. And I just want to extend a special thanks to Maravia, Cascade River Gear, 10 Barrel Brewing, and especially Idaho Rivers United because 1, I'm thankful I got the boat, but also it was for a really good cause and they do good work. And you should check out all those companies and maybe consider donating to Idaho Rivers United. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. This has been the channel Droo and we'll see you in the next one.